My name is Gibson, and I'm the co-owner and creator of the Personal Development School. This is your daily breakthrough video, and in this video, I want to talk to you a little bit about the hardest things about being a dismissive avoidant. So this is a series I'm doing, and this is basically based on my intentions for people to be able to understand the inside of each attachment style's world a little bit better. This is something you can show to like your friends, your family, your romantic partner if you want them to understand a little bit more about like the internal world of being your attachment style as you're on the pathway to healing. And the reason I really want you to go through these videos and see what your attachment style is and try to understand as well is that like I see a lot of sometimes negative commentary on YouTube, on Facebook, in different places about the different attachment styles. And I think that, it's always very helpful to be able to have compassion for people over just judgment from a place of our own ignorance as people a lot of the time, because unless you've been that attachment style yourself and then healed from it, when we make these surface level judgments about other people and their attachment style based on what we see on the surface level, not based on like all the fears that person has, the programs they have, their individual needs, the trauma they may or may have not gone through in the past, and how that's impacted them. For us to throw daggers or mean comments out onto YouTube or things like that sometimes about the different attachment styles can be us really communicating from a very deep place of ignorance, quite honestly. And I don't say that in terms of like anything rude. It's just any judgment we make about other people comes from a projection of our own ignorance, because we never will know what it's like to be that person with the hundreds of thousands of individual programs they have, beliefs, different experiences, memories, emotions they're feeling, needs, all these different things. So what I wanted to do is give a little tiny bit of that insight, not from me having been all attachment styles, although I was fearful avoidance, so I can, resonate with both sides and became very secure. But really through the experiences and conversations I've had with people who are of these styles, and me being able to share some of this information with you, so that you have more insight into what it's like to be in the internal world of that person, and hopefully can come from a place of compassion and understanding. It doesn't mean if somebody's hurting you or treating you poorly that you don't set a boundary and move away from that situation that's not feeling good for you. You absolutely do that, especially if it's any kind of unhealthy situation. But you don't have to do that and then go throw daggers at anybody. And I would say, as I'm communicating about all this, the vast majority of people we have on YouTube and in our community, on like the Facebook forum, are wonderful, are like absolutely amazing. Our students inside of the school are like the most supportive people ever, because they're really doing the work and showing up, and we have very strong guidelines for that there. And people really lift each other up in there. So please keep in mind, if you're hearing this, I'm not saying this is like the majority of people. This is like the very, very, very small minority of people who make judgments or who make rude comments or who are shaming towards other attachment styles or other people. So this is definitely not directed at like everybody, because most of the people on here are absolutely incredible and uplifting and amazing. And of course, our students and all that stuff as well. But this is just for, every so often I see those comments and I'm like, that's not a very nice comment. And why don't we work to spread compassion and awareness as opposed to judgment from a place of lacking understanding? So let's talk about the dismissive avoidant in this context. And what you'll see is I'll do a video. And this is also for, as I do these videos, this is also for the individual to have compassion and empathy in the relationship to themselves, and to better have insight into themselves and some of what's challenging about being their attachment style, so that then they can show up and have like a supportive step or strategy to do something with this, right? It's like, okay, I see that this is painful, and instead of treating myself like a robot and just expecting myself to be better or different, let me have some compassion on the path to healing, because that will only help healing to take place more quickly. So with that being said, some of the hardest parts about being a dismissive avoidant are, number one, really feeling, and this is like a lot of dismissive avoidance, I would say like 95+%, in conversations I've had over the years. And I've literally seen so many clients that are DAs or were DAs at the time. And, like, I will hear them say, like, I'm trying and I don't know how to do any better. And something that's really important to recognize is that, like, if we go through life, we can have like unknown unknowns, like things that we don't even know that we don't know. And I would say for a lot of dismissive avoidance, because there's a lack of modeling for like emotional attunement, for being able to like hold space for people to express their emotions, for knowing what to say when people are expressing their emotions, for knowing the right thing to do or the comforting thing to do, or knowing what somebody else needs. A lot of these things are not modeled to the dismissive avoidant. And I've spoken with so many dismissive avoidants over the years who, like, in those situations, they just panic because they know that there's like pressure on them to do something, but they fear not doing the right thing. And then a lot of dismissive avoidance responses to not knowing what to do is to kind of flee and to avoid and protect and kind of withdraw into themselves, because that's this like historic coping mechanism that has helped them survive and navigate life a little bit better. And so when they're in relationships with people, a lot of the time, like, there will be a lot of care there, and they won't know how to express it properly. And then they just kind of beat themselves up and think like, oh, there's something wrong with me, and withdraw. And then they too, like other attachment styles, get frustrated at like their relationships not working, or wonder why they always pull away. Or, they feel like they have this inherent confusion when it comes to dealing with emotionally charged issues. And I think that can be very defeating for the dismissive avoidant. So that's number one. Number two, I would say another really big thing that's difficult is the amount of shame a dismissive avoidant carries. And if you pay close attention, if you are the dismissive avoidant listening to this, a lot of that is like shaming in the relationship to self. A lot of that is literally this dynamic of like, you've felt ashamed in the past, which was your interpretation of why you're not getting your needs met, is, oh, I'm not getting my needs met because there must be something wrong with me. But then that imprints the subconscious, and then that becomes a narrative. Like, oh, you make a mistake, it's shameful. Oh, something happens, or you get seen too much by other people. Somebody sees an imperfection or a vulnerability. Oh, they see your defectiveness. And it's this ongoing shame thing that leads you a lot of the time to like overvalue privacy, not want to be open, avoid vulnerability, repress your own emotions in relationship to self. And all of these things are basically later problems waiting to happen. Like, if you keep a lot of internalized shame inside, then sometimes that will lead you to not have healthy relationships, avoid taking responsibility for things, avoid taking opportunities for the fear of like failure, or the belief that like you're not deserving because you're shameful or defective. And so carrying a lot of shame spills into all 7 areas of life. It's not just exclusively a relationship thing, and it's very defeating when it comes to self-esteem. And so, and just feelings of self-worth overall, which of course can then have all of its own things that come up if you don't feel worthy. And so that's a huge component that's very difficult and challenging, is the heaviness of the shame burden that dismissive avoidants tend to carry. And then I would also say the feelings that opening up is weak. Those can be very defeating as well, because there are many DAs who really want closeness, who want to connect, but they feel like, I don't know what that looks like. And they automatically assume that connecting to somebody else means giving up the relationship to themselves, because they don't know how to express their needs or boundaries or share their internal reality with somebody in a healthy way that says, I'm afraid of losing me, and I need to have a certain amount of time to myself to recharge. They don't know how to have those conversations. And this brings me to my last point here, which is dismissive avoidants often feel very misunderstood and unheard as well. And you have to imagine, if you are in a dynamic where you're not properly hearing your own emotions, hearing your own needs, and understanding what you need from other people, then your expression, your ability to express those things is going to be extremely limited, because we can tell somebody something we don't know because we don't know. So what are we going to tell anybody? And so what happens for the dismissive avoidants a lot is they don't know how to express their internal reality because they're out of touch with it, or they don't know how to express their feelings, and they are lacking emotional literacy, which then creates a lot of relationship challenges and issues, and often leaves them feeling really unheard or misunderstood by other people. And then that feels frustrating and defeating. And then the dismissive avoidant will often go into like apathy mode of, well, I don't care. It's fine. I don't need people anyways. It's easier to do life by myself. And it's actually this cycle of things that need to be changed and noticed, and boundaries and emotional literacy that needs to be developed, and regaining touch with your feelings that needs to be had. And once these things happen, then you can have yourself and have relationships too. You can share your needs and have yourself too. And really, truly, we have a tremendous amount of people inside of the school who are DAs, who are like, have become secure already, or who are well on their way to becoming secure in a relatively short period of time, who are showing up and working so hard on themselves, as with fearful avoidance, as with anxious preoccupied. So it's really beautiful to see. And just, I want to give that reminder that, all attachment styles at the end of the day can heal, can reprogram. Nobody is stuck like this. We weren't born with these programs. We don't have them forever. We can reprogram or deprogram the things that are no longer serving us. So hopefully this gives you some context as to where to begin. And please let me know if you have any questions in the comments below. Stay tuned for the next parts of these series where we talk about the fearful avoidant and the anxious preoccupied. Thank you so much for watching and for being here. Please like, share, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.